Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Tori and Ren YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be making one of these mini market change pouches. They look something like this. I have a couple different ones here in different fabric combinations. So this one has boots and some pumpkins. This one has some seed packages, some strawberries, a farmer's market sign with some strawberries, and then this one here has some berries on it as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a closer look here. So they have this very subtle curved zipper here at the top. They also have a two-tone exterior with faux leather vinyl and 100% quilting cotton. You can also change up this piece and do it with quilting cotton or even linen like I did with this one. They have a D-ring on the side, which you can also interchange for a swivel hook if you prefer. I'm stumbling on my words. They look something like this. That's the front. This is the back. And then this is the bottom here. You can see that they meet here. And then on the front, you actually have this snap piece here. And it's not just for decorative purposes. What it does is when you hang this on your keys or your bag, it actually prevents the pull from opening when it's full. Because the last thing you want to do is fill this with change. It's nice and full, and then you go somewhere and it explodes or you lose some of your change. So it just prevents the zipper pull from coming undone when it's full. And then when you need to access it, you can just open up the snap and unzip your bag so you can add or remove change from it. And it actually fits a ton of change. I've been using this one over here for a couple days now, and I stuffed it full of change. I'm not showing you it too closely because I did drop it in a puddle of slush yesterday when I got out of the car, so it's a bit dirty. So I'm not going to be showing you that one too closely because the white fabric is a bit stained now. But if you'd like to make one of these mini change pouches, you can keep watching this video. I have the full instructions and measurements in it, or you can check out my Etsy shop down below for the written instructions. But let's get started. Just like usual, we're going to move these out of the way. You can see I have some metal pieces here that I was using to hold them up so you could see them a bit better. Take these out of the way. So I completely forgot to show you the interior of the change pouch. So I just filled this one up with some change to show you. So you just open your snap and your zipper, and you can access all of your change. I put a ton in here so you can see it fits a lot, and you can still access everything really easily, and it is fully lined inside. So we're now going to move on to the materials. Getting started with the materials, I'm going to set this one over here on the side so that I can refer to it and tell you which piece is for where. Starting with print A, I'm using 100% quilting cotton. You're going to need two pieces measuring 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And if you're using directional fabric like I am, you're going to want it to run vertically like so. And that's for the front piece here and the back piece right here. The quilting cotton that I'm using for this project is by Faux Fabrics. I believe the designer is Boccaccini Meadows, if I'm saying that correctly, and it's from Sewers Club. Next, you'll need one piece measuring 3 by 2 3/4. That's for this snap piece right over here. And again, if you're using directional fabric, it should run vertically. Next, for your zipper tab, you're going to need one piece measuring 2 1/4 by the width of your zipper. So you can see here it's about the width of my zipper. Now this piece is going to be horizontal on your bag. So if you're using directional fabric, although this is a really tiny piece, you can have it running this way vertically, and that's located right here on your bag. So this next piece segues us into print B. This is the D-ring tab here on the side of your bag. So if your machine doesn't handle layers well, you may opt to use 100% quilting cotton or linen instead. And if you choose to do that, you're going to cut a piece that measures 2 1/4 by 1 1/2. If you wish to use the faux leather like I am, you're going to cut a piece that measures 1 1/4 by 1 1/2. And because these pieces run horizontally on our bag right here, you're going to want the direction to run this way. Although my faux leather vinyl doesn't have a direction, maybe yours does, so you're going to want it to run this way. I also want to quickly add that if you do choose either option, I will be including the directions for both. So not to worry if you decide to use one or the other, I will have the instructions for both. Continuing with print B, you're going to need two pieces measuring 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. If you're using directional fabric, you want it to run vertically. I'm using this faux leather vinyl from Zipper Valley. Now, I'm using the faux leather vinyl, but you can also use 100% quilting cotton or linen. It's up to you. The only thing is I will not be interfacing my vinyl, but if you are using 100% quilting cotton or linen, you will want to interface it with Fusible Fleece, and you can use Pellon 987F or similar. It's a lightweight fusible fleece. Oh, and these two pieces are for these two panels here and over here. Next, for print C, you're going to need 2 pieces cut from our lining template, which is included in the description box below. All of the templates for this project are included there, and when printing, you're going to print them at actual size or 100% scale. Once printed, this bottom straight edge should measure 5 1/4 for both templates. But if you're using directional fabric for these 2 pieces, it's going to run vertically, and these are our 2 lining pieces for our interior zipper pocket. Of fusible fleece, you're going to need 2 pieces measuring 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. I'm using Pellon 987F, but you can use something similar. It's just a lightweight fusible fleece. Now again, like I said earlier, if you're using quilting cotton or linen in place of the print B faux leather, you will need to interface these 2 pieces with fusible fleece as well, and those will be cut to the same size, so 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. But if you are using faux leather, there's no need to interface them, so you'll only need these 2 pieces. You may also need some 1-inch squares of SF101, 2 squares preferably, if you would like to reinforce your snaps. Next, you'll need one number 3 nylon zipper, measuring 4 3/4. Mine came by the yard and I just cut it down to size. It's a continuous zipper, and then I added in my zipper pull and left it in the middle. The zipper tape I'm using is by Sally Tomato. It's the beige tape with antique coil. And then I just used a pull from Emmeline bags, and I got them from Sewers Club. Next, you'll need 1 1/2-inch D-ring or 1/2-inch swivel hook. It's up to you which one you'd rather use. Mine are an antique finish by Emmeline bags. Next, you're going to need 1 set of fashion spring snaps. Mine are 12.5 millimeters or size 20, and I just have all 4 pieces in an antique finish. Some other supplies you may need are double-sided basting tape if you choose to use faux leather for your D-ring tab, a quilter's awl for when we're installing our snap. I did pronounce this wrong in my round wing zipper bag tutorial, so thank you to everybody who let me know how to properly say it. I won't be calling it an owl anymore. And you'll also need the tool or pliers to install your snap. We're now going to move on to our fusing, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Taking our 2 pieces of fusible fleece and our 2 pieces of print A, measuring 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, we're going to fuse the wrong side of our fabric to the glue or bumpy side of our fusible fleece. So 1 there and 1 there, and then we're just going to take it to the iron and give it a good press so that it's fused together. If you opted to use quilting cotton or linen for print B, please fuse those fusible fleece pieces cut to the same size as well. Once those pieces are fused, they'll look something like this. We're now going to begin assembling our front and back panels. And to do so, we're going to first need to decide which one we want to be our front and which piece we want to be our back. So I'm going to put this one on the front since the house is a little bit more centered, and this one's more off to the side. So this will be my front and this will be my back. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my 2 pieces of print B, measuring 4 1/4 by 2 1/2, and I'm going to join 1 piece to each of them. So for the front panel, we're going to want to join our piece to the left side, and for our back panel, we're going to want to join our piece to the right side. Now the reason they're opposite is once this is sewn, and when these are right sides together later on, so just like this, the print B will be on the same side and the print A will be on the same side since they're opposite. So we're just going to lay these back out. So to join these pieces, what we're going to do is we're going to put them with right sides together, just like so. And then we're going to sew across the left side here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance and the right side over here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once your pieces are joined, they'll look something like this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to open both of them up like so. So there and there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to flip to the wrong side here and here, and you're going to press your seams open. The reason I like to press my seams open for this project is because I find when you sew the zipper, it actually separates the bulk from the seam allowance so that you don't have too much in one spot or the other. just separates it, but it is up to you. You can press your seam to one side or the other. But once it's pressed, you're going to flip over to the right side again, here and here, and you're going to sew a top stitch on the print B side here and over here. And if you'd like, you can also do a top stitch on the print A side here and here, but that's optional and definitely up to you. Something I do want to quickly add is just be careful when pressing your seam allowance open. You may want to have a protective layer between your fabric and your iron. That way the faux leather isn't exposed to direct heat from the iron and won't burn. With your back and front panels, we're now going to curve the top edge so that we have that nice curved zipper at the top of our change pouches. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab the front and back panel that's in the description box. Yours will have some writing on it. Mine doesn't because this is the one I was making my samples with. But what you're going to do for each of these pieces, I'm going to slide this one up, is you're going to align the bottom straight edge with the bottom edge of your panel piece. So just like this. And then either with a rotary cutter or a marking pen and some scissors, you're going to cut along this curve for both pieces. So this one and this one. Making sure that your print runs vertically and the top of your design is the curved edge. You don't want your piece to be upside down. So I'm just going to curve mine really quickly. Once the pieces are curved, they'll look something like this. You're then going to get a marking pen and we're going to mark 1/2 inch in on the left and right sides on the top curved edges of both the front and back panels. So right here, right here, right here, and right here. And what these markings are for, it's going to help us center our zipper on those top curved edges. With our zipper measuring 4 3/4, we're going to open up one of the sides. We're going to open up the side that the zipper closes toward. So as you can see here, if I move my zipper back and forth, I can see that my zipper closes toward that end. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up that end by separating the zipper tape. Then with my zipper tab measuring 2 1/4 by the width of my zipper, I'm going to align the closed end of my zipper with one of the width of my zipper sides here, just like that, with the wrong side of my zipper facing the right side of my fabric. And I'm going to sew across using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once the tab is sewn to the wrong side of your zipper, it'll look something like that. I've already pressed mine so that I can show you the folding steps a bit easier. What you're going to do is you're going to open this up, flip over to the right side of your zipper. Then you're going to take the outer raw edge here, that's the width of your zipper, and you're going to fold it in to the edge of your zipper right here. You're going to press that fold, and you're going to fold one more time to just cover that seam or be in line with that seam, just like so, and you're going to press that outer fold one more time. Then what you're going to do is you're going to sew across close to that folded edge in the teeth to hold that in place. What you can do is you can sew a couple stitches right here and a couple stitches right here before sewing across just to hold it in place if you'd like. Once sewn, this is what the zipper tab will look like. Now we're going to work on our snap piece. So you're going to grab your print A piece measuring 3 by 2 3/4, and you're going to flip to the wrong side. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the bottom 2 3/4 inch edge and you're going to fold it in by about 1/4 inch. I've already pressed mine at the iron, but you're going to go and you're going to press yours at the iron. And what this is going to do is this is going to finish the bottom edge where our snap is going to be located. Once that's pressed, we're going to do some more folding. I've already pressed mine, so it's a little bit easier to show you. But staying on the wrong side, we're going to fold it in half by bringing the outer 3 inch edges together. So just like so, wrong side's facing. You're going to take it to your iron and you're going to press this center fold to mark it. Then you're going to open it back up and you see you have your center fold marked. You're going to bring the outer 3 inch edges back in, but instead of together, you're going to bring it to that center fold there and there, like so. You're going to press those outer folds, and then you're going to fold it one more time so that those raw edges are nice and tucked inside, just like so, and you're going to press it one more time. The only thing is you're going to want to make sure that this edge where you initially folded that 1/4 inch in is nice and straight and aligned, just like that. Once everything's folded and pressed, You're going to sew a top stitch on both sides here and here to secure it, making sure to backstitch on these ends because these are the ends where we're going to open and close our snap, and we don't want these to fall apart over time. You may also wish to use some fray block or fray check on those seams down here. Once sewn, this is what your snap attachment piece will look like. We're now going to install the cap and socket parts of our snap to it. Taking our snap attachment piece, as well as a ruler and erasable marking pen, we're going to mark the location of where we would like our cap and socket. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure 3/8 up from the edge, and we're going to mark a dot in the center. So if I take my ruler, so it's 3/8 up from the edge, and as you can see here, it's centered with my measurements here. So I'll mark my dot right there. That's going to be the location of my snap. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my quilter's awl and I'm going to punch a hole in that location. So you're going to push it all the way through like this. Then you're going to slide this back out again. Now, depending on the installation tool you'll be using, I'll be using snap pliers. You're going to install your snap to this location. I'm going to be installing my cap and my socket to this location. So I'm going to be inserting my cap through this side because I want this side to be on the exterior of the bag, so most visible when closed. So I'm going to insert my cap here. And then I'm going to insert my socket into my snap pliers, and I'm going to show you how. So for my particular snap pliers, the two pieces I'm going to need is this one here for my cap and this one here for the socket. So I'm going to add them to my pliers now. Now that those have been added to my pliers, it'll look something like that. I'm now going to take my socket and I'm going to add it into this side of my pliers here. And because I want this side of my snap facing out of my socket, I'm going to put that side inward. So as you can see here, pop it in. So it'll look something like that. That side is facing that way. Then I'm going to put my cap into this bottom piece here. It should slide in there and fit perfectly, just like so. Then once everything's in there, I'm going to close my pliers and apply pressure. And that's added. Next, taking our snap piece, we're actually going to trim this piece down to 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to line mine up with the mat, grab my ruler, and I'm going to trim it to 2.5 inches. Now, the reason we're trimming it and we didn't cut it to size initially was because we do fold that 1/4 inch in at the beginning. And if our 1/4 inch is slightly off, this won't measure 2.5 inches. So that's why we're trimming it now. Before we install our zipper, we're going to baste our snap attachment piece to our back panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure 1 inch in on that top curved edge of our back panel, so 1 inch in, and that's going to be on the print B side, so 1 inch in from the right. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your snap attachment piece and we're going to align it with that 1 inch marking right there. The raw edges should align and your socket should face up so that this can fold over later and close. Then what you're going to do is you're going to machine baste this close to the edge and you're going to make sure to backstitch. Once basted in, this is what it'll look like. Now what you can also do is you can also add a handmade tag if you wish. I'm going to be adding mine over here. I'm going to be doing it 1 3/4 up from the bottom edge and 3/4 in from the right edge over here. So about right here. I'm just going to fuse my label and then sew around it to secure it. Taking just our front panel and our zipper, we're now going to begin the zipper assembly. So if we remember earlier with our samples, the zippers on our samples open toward the right so that this snap attachment here can actually prevent them from being opened when stuff is inside. So what we want to do is we want to do the same thing here. We want our zipper to open towards the right. So as you can see, my zipper is actually already the correct way. So I want my zipper to be like this up here. So what that means is we're going to take this side of our zipper and we're going to begin by placing it vertically, just like this, parallel with the left side here, with the zipper tape, so the teeth of the tape facing our fabric, the right side of our fabric, and we're going to align it with the 1/2 inch marking we have right here. So I'm just going to align it, and I'm going to align the straight edge of my zipper with that curved edge there. And then we're just going to sew across here, close to the edge with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to make sure to backstitch. So we're going to do that right now. Once that's sewn, it'll look something like that. I know it looks a little bit strange, but if you've seen some of my other tutorials, you probably know what's about to happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to return our zipper to that curved edge. So we're going to align it with that curved edge, just like so. And as you can see here, we have a bit of a fold. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that fold is neat and tidy. We're going to flatten it there. And what that does is it actually curves the start of our zipper. So it curves in and it'll be finished when the bag is complete. So now that that fold is there, we're just going to sew again on top close to the edge just to secure it in place. Then once that's sewn, we're going to go over here and we're going to align our tab with the other 1/2 inch marking on the other side. We're then going to do the same thing and sew close to the edge here to secure it in place. Once both sides are secured, your zipper will look something like that. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to sew our zipper along the curve using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, instead of sewing it on this side, we're actually going to sew it on the Fusible Fleece side. And you'll find that because the zipper is quite small, your pull may get in the way here and there, but when you get close to your pull, just lift your presser foot and move your pull to the opposite side that you already sewed so that you can continue sewing. And because this is a pretty minor curve, you won't need to cut any notches or anything into your zipper tape because it is such a minor curve. Once you've sewn the zipper to the front panel using that 1/4 inch seam allowance, it'll look something like that. You're now going to grab one piece of your print C lining. You're going to place it here with the right side facing up, and then taking your front panel and zipper, you're going to align that top curved edge just like so. So the right side of your exterior front panel should face the right side of the lining, and the back side of the zipper, so the interior side, will face the right side of your lining as well. So just like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew across here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, once again on the Fusible Fleece side and in line with that seam that you just sewed. Once that's sewn, it'll look something like this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn to the right side by bringing the wrong side of your front panel and your print C piece together, just like so. And then you're going to go to the iron and you're going to press your fabric away from the zipper along the curve. Again, please be careful on the faux leather. You may want to use a protective layer, or you may wish to just press on the lining side for that area. Once pressed, it'll look something like this. We're now going to attach the zipper to the back panel. With our front panel and our back panel, we're now going to attach the remaining side of the zipper to this top curve on the back panel. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to rotate them into the position that we want to sew them in. So we want the print B with the print B and the print A with the print A. That way, when this is sewn together, our bag will look like that. And the snap attachment will be in the correct place, and so will both of our fabrics. So because we know it's going to be sewn like this, we can begin curving our zipper just like we did over here. So we're going to open up our zipper. We're going to take this side of the tape that we're going to attach here. We're going to flip this over so that the right side of our zipper faces the right side of our fabric. And with the teeth parallel to this outer right edge, just like so, and the raw edges aligned, we're going to machine baste across here using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance to secure. That's what it looks like basted in place, and as you can see here, the tape actually sits right in between that marking and your snap attachment piece. Now, just like before, we're going to return the edge of the zipper to that curve, just like so. We're going to align that there. And then where we have that basting that we just did, we're going to have a fold now that actually curves our zipper. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that fold is nice and neat. So mine is nice and flat there. And then you're just going to machine baste on top again just to hold the curve in place. And the same as before, you are going to align your zipper tab with that other 1/2 inch marking on the opposite side, and you're going to machine baste there as well. Once that's basted, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to make sure our zipper is aligned with that curved edge, and then we're going to sew across using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but on the Fusible Fleece side right over here. This here is what your piece will look like sewn. Then you're going to get your remaining print C lining piece, and we're going to do the same as before. we're going to align that top curved edge with the top edge here with our zipper. So right here. The right side of your fabric will face the other print C piece and the back or interior side of your zipper. You're once again just going to sew across here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance in line with the seam you just sewed. And once again, if your zipper pull is in the way, you can just move it while you sew and you should be good. Just like before, once it's sewn, we're going to turn to the right side by bringing the wrong side of our print C piece and our back panel together. So just like this. Then what we're going to do is we're once again going to press our fabric away from the zipper, again protecting this faux leather side. Once it's pressed, it'll look something like this. Then what you can do is you can open up your zipper like I have right here, and you can sew a top stitch on both sides of the zipper if you'd like. That is optional. I'm not going to be doing a top stitch on mine. Then what you're going to do is you're going to close your zipper up. Then we're going to take some quilting clips and we're going to align the side seams right here and right over here to mimic how the bag will be when it's complete so that everything is nice and aligned. That way we can see where our second part of our snap needs to be, the stud and the post. So as you can see here, my snap is going to land right here to close. So I'm going to get an erasable marking pen and I'm actually going to mark that location, making sure my zipper is fully closed. So mine's going to land about right here. So I'm going to install my stud and my post right over here. Removing our quilting clips. We're going to get our quilters all once again, and we're actually going to pop a hole in the location where we would like our snap. So mine was about right here. So I'm going to push it right through, just like that, to mark the location. Once that's marked and the hole is made there, we're going to turn over to the wrong side of our front panel so you can see the hole on this side. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the 2 scrap pieces of SF101, the 1-inch squares, and what you're going to do is you're going to fuse one on top of the other in the location of that snap marking, so right there and right there. What this is going to do is that's going to reinforce this snap because it's going to be used nearly every time that you access your bag, so you really want it to be nice and strong. If you'd like, you can add additional layers. It's really up to you. Once that's fused, it'll look something like that. I'm now going to flip back to the right side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the location of my marking. Since I made that hole, I can see that it's right here. And then I'm just going to pierce it one more time to go through that SF101. Be sure to only pierce your front panel and not any of your lining pieces. So as you can see, it's pushed all the way through. I'm just going to slide it back out again. So you can see that's where my stud and my post are going to be located. So here I have my post, which is the longer one, and my stud, which is the shorter one. I'm going to push the post through the back of the fabric toward the front. So from back here, I don't think I made a big enough hole, so I'm going to have to do that again. And then the stud will just snap on top, and I'll show you in a moment. So I've just pushed the post through to the front, as you can see here. Then I have my little stud piece that I'm going to click on top. So when you push it on top, it should make a clicking sound. Oh, mine doesn't want to go on. There we go. And now I'm going to get my pliers to install this. Again, if you're using a different type of snap or a different tool, you can go ahead and install your snaps. So for this portion of the snap installation, you're going to need this plastic piece here and this metal piece here. This one will be for the post and this one will be for the stud. So I'm going to add them to my pliers now. So as you can see, this is what my pliers look like now. I have the 2 pieces attached, and I'll show you how to install your snap. So what you're going to do is this plastic point right here on your pliers is actually going to go inside of the post on the bottom. So as you can see here, it's going to fit inside here. Slide it in from the edge. So if you look from the bottom, it's inserted inside there. And from the top, the stud is just going to go into that metal piece. So now that both are there, I'm going to press, apply some pressure so it's nice and installed and secure. And there we go. There's my snap. We're now going to check that our snaps are tight enough and are secured properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to close our snap and listen for a click. So mine clicks, and let's see how it opens. So it's perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this open for the remaining sewing steps. Moving on to our D-ring tab, I'm going to show you the steps for the faux leather version and the quilting cotton or linen version. I've already pressed mine so that it's a little bit easier to show you, but we're going to start with the faux leather and then we're going to move on to the quilting cotton or linen version. Beginning with our print B piece, measuring 1 1/4 by 1 1/2, we're going to first start by flipping over to the wrong side. We're going to be adding some double-sided basting tape to this side. So what I just did was I marked the middle of the 1 1/4 inch sides here and here. You don't have to do this. I just find it's a little bit more helpful for knowing where to put your tape. So I have my double-sided basting tape right here. And what I'm going to do is on either side of those markings, I'm just going to put one piece. So here, just going to cut off the extra. And right over here. And again, if you don't want to add those markings, you don't need to, because it doesn't have to be too precise. The basting tape is just to help hold everything together for when we sew it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to press on this so that the tape adheres. And then we're going to lift up the non-sticky side, leaving the sticky part here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bring these outer 1 1/2 inch edges to the middle here. And that double-sided basting tape will make sure that these folds stay in place. So that's one side. So you can see mine's lifting a little bit, so I may use some quilting clips on the ends to hold it together. But you're just going to press it down like so. What that does is that just keeps the fold in place, and then you're going to sew top stitch on both sides here and here to secure. For our quilting cotton or linen option, you're going to grab your piece that measures 2 1/4 by 1 1/2, and you're going to flip over to the wrong side. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bring the outer 1 1/2 inch edges together, so fold it in half with the wrong sides facing, and then you're going to press to crease that center fold. Once that's pressed, you're going to open it back up, and you can see here that center fold is creased. Then you're going to bring the outer 1 1/2 inch edges in again, but instead of together, you're going to bring it to that center fold here and here. You're going to press again to crease those outer folds, and you're going to fold one more time so that these raw edges are concealed inside. You're going to press, and then you're going to sew top stitch on both sides here and over here, beginning with the open folded edge, followed by this edge. Once top stitched, the D-ring tabs will look something like this. I have the faux leather one and the quilting cotton version here. Now I'm going to be moving forward with the faux leather one, but if you chose to use quilting cotton or linen, the following steps will be the same. Taking your D-ring or swivel hook tab and then your chosen hardware, so either a swivel hook or D-ring, you're going to insert the tab into the hardware like so. And if you chose to use the faux leather version, you're going to want the nice edge, so the side with your top stitch, not the one with the folds, visible. So as you can see here, the one with the folds is on the straight side of my D-ring, so that when it folds, it's no longer visible. So once it's inserted, what you're going to do is you're going to find your front panel, and on the left side, you're going to measure 3/8 down from that seam right here. So the seam sewn with our zipper. And what you're going to do is you're going to baste your D-ring tab, machine based, in place right here. So you're going to sew with about 1/8 inch seam allowance, making sure to backstitch because this does have some weight to it and you don't want it to loosen and move when you sew around. Another thing to note is you want to make sure that your lining is separated from your front panel so that you don't sew them together. So just the front panel. Once basted, it'll look something like that right here. I also realized I had forgotten to add my handmade tag after I said I was going to add it, so I just quickly added mine on now. What we're going to do now is we're going to make sure this is unsnapped, so it's open, and then we're going to push our zipper down in toward the lining, and we're going to flip to our lining side, so just like this. And what we're going to do is these side seams here, we're actually just going to align them together on both sides. And we're just going to machine baste a little bit here and a little bit over here to make sure that when we sew all the way around, they don't move and they stay nice and aligned. Once that's basted, it'll look something like this. Now, when you're doing your basting, you want to make sure that you actually don't sew in too much over here, because if you do, that'll actually shorten your lining. So you want to just do just a few stitches here just to hold it in place. Now, once you've done that, you're going to bring your lining together with right sides facing, like so, and your exterior panels together with right sides facing. And you can get some pins or quilting clips, and you can just pin or clip it all the way around. You want to make sure that this bottom seam here and here match together. So you can either hold it together with a pin or quilting clips, or you can sew a couple stitches here to machine baste it to make sure it's matched. But once you've pinned or clipped all the way around, you're going to sew all the way around, leaving a 2.5 inch opening in the center here of the lining. So on the bottom edge right there. Oh, and please make sure to backstitch when you sew on top of the D-ring or swivel hook tab here, because you want to make sure that's nice and secure, because if you hang this on keys and this is full of change, it will be quite heavy and you want this to be very secure. Once you've sewn all the way around, it'll look something like this. My lining does need a little bit of a press, but I'll do that later. What you're going to do now is, I've already done it in all 3 of these corners, is you're going to take a erasable marking pen and your ruler, and you're going to draw a square a 1/2 inch in from your seams, not the outer edge, but your seams. So I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to draw my little square on the corner with my marking pen. So it's a 1/2 inch square from my seam. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut out those squares. So you're going to do it in all 4 corners, so the 2 exterior corners and the 2 lining corners. My scissors don't want to cut. There we go. Then what I like to do, but this is optional, is I like to do some back stitching right here, 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 and here. So all 4 corners, so these 2 corners and these 2 corners, to make sure that when I open these up to sew them, so I'm just going to open one up, these seams don't fall apart. See, they're already falling apart. So what I like to do is I just do some back stitching on all of the seams here near these corners. That way when I open them up, I have an easier time sewing them. So I'm back from back stitching in all of these spots. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to do one corner, and then you're going to repeat with each of these corners. Now the lining will be a little bit trickier because it is a little bit smaller, but just take your time and use pins or quilting clips if needed. But for each of these corners, what you're going to do is you're going to bring the bottom seam to the side seam. So I'm going to put my finger inside of here to open it up, and then I'm going to bring the seams together so you can see the seams are together. You're going to put one seam to one side and one seam to the other side to nest your seams, and that will help to better match them. Then you're going to sew across using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure to backstitch at the start of your seam, in the center here to make sure, since we cut these seams, to make sure nothing falls apart, and then on the other side. So in those 3 spots you need to backstitch. Then you're going to repeat with the other corners. Just make sure that when you do the opposite corner, so on the same side, that when you put your seam allowance to one side, it matches on these 2 corners. So they both go the same way, so you don't end up with a twist at the bottom of your bag. I'll show you what I mean once I've sewn mine, but you're going to do that to all 4 corners. Once the corners are sewn, it'll look something like this. And like I said earlier, this is what the seams will look like on the bottom when they're put to the same side. So it's nice and flat here. There's no twist. But once everything's done, we're going to trim all of our strings so we have no strings left over inside here. Maybe give it a lint roller or a lint roll. And then you're going to use your opening to turn it inside out. And because we have such a small opening, we're going to be very gentle and go slowly. So as I turn it inside out, I'm going to start from the bottom corners down here and down here. I'm going to push them out first. So this corner, followed by this corner, and that will get everything started. As you can see here, most of the bag's already out. See? And just like that, it's turned. So we're going to push all of these sides out, and then we're going to take it to the iron and give it a good press. So I still have to press mine a bit more, but I thought I would give you the final step so that you can already start doing it at the iron. What you're going to do is you're going to tuck the raw edges of your opening inside so that this bottom edge of your lining is nice and straight and flush so you don't see that opening anymore. And what you can do is you can either sew it at the sewing machine close to the edge to secure, or you can actually hand sew your opening closed. I'm going to hand sew mine, so I'm going to leave this for now inside here just for time's sake. But I'm going to press mine again and I'll be right back. I'm back from the iron and I wanted to quickly show you guys my completed mini market change pouch before I go. So this is the front here, this is the bottom, and this is the back. I really like how this turned out on the back here with this little house here. And this here is the top with that snap attachment. So I really hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe. If you're looking for the written instructions for this project, you can find them down below on my Etsy shop. But that's all for today, so I'll see you all next time with a new tutorial.